a burst of energy whips up a giant wall of sand and dust. The thick sandstorm sweeps the land, making it impossible to see beyond 10 meters. In an instant, a city goes from day to night. This is the desert, a realm of sand and stone. A group of temperate deserts stretches across the whole of northwest China, combining to create one of the most inhospitable environments on the planet. Yet, 60 million years ago, the scene would have been very different. With an altitude of 2,500 to 3,000 meters, the Kaidam Desert is the highest desert in China. It's located in the hinterland of the Kaidam Basin in the northeastern part of the Qinghai Tibet Plateau. In the Mongolian language, Kaidam means salt marsh. The area takes its name for its many low-lying salt lakes and swamps.
其中有一个发射点的话，在西边那边比较远，大概有个差不多10公里。
我们先散开了跑，先锁定可能的这个化石层，就是能找到化石的那个地点，然后顺着层去找更多的、更好的标本。
For paleontologists, this desert, which covers over 30,000 square kilometers, is a land of treasures.
很幸运哈，我们前2年踏勘的过程中发现了这个地方有一层，至少2层，非常保存的非常密集的这个鱼化石的层位。首先，这个上面有几个很大的那个黑窟窿，这个黑窟窿实际上就是这个很粗的树干的化石。那么再往下走，就是一层密密麻麻的50现有鱼的这个鱼骨的腹基层。
In this wilderness, paleontologists once again discover traces of a strange, extinct fish called Xianwunia wei. Unlike other fish, it had clearly visible thick ribs.
把鱼修出来一看，哎呀，这个鱼全身都是这么粗的骨头。他说他肉往哪儿长啊？这浑身就都是骨头，没有肉。它那个地层里头石膏很多，石膏很多就说明那个气候变得很干了。我想那个水环境是比较混沌的，就是有很多的钙的含量，就鱼不能够生存了。那么我们就觉得应该是一个变干的水域。
The ancient cyprinid fish struggled to survive in calcium-rich water, and its bones continued to thicken due to calcium absorption. The species was an important witness to the aridification of the Kaidam Desert. In addition, paleontologists have discovered many other prehistoric fossils, including those of fish, plants, and mammals, some of them hundreds of millions of years old. How did a place once so busy with life become what it is today? The Qinghai Tibet Plateau began to rise 60 million years ago, when the Indian and Eurasian tectonic plates collided violently. When this giant barrier rose to an altitude of 3,000 meters, its towering peaks blocked the Indian summer monsoon to the south, which previously had brought abundant rainfall. As a result, the northwest inland gradually became drier. In winter, the plateau also prevented the cold north air from moving southward, trapping it in this area and worsening the drought. Over the next tens of millions of years, the sunlight, winds and rains slowly weathered the rocks of the Tian Shan, Kunlun, Altun and Qilian mountains in northwest China, covering the ground in gravel and dust. This eventually led to the formation of more than 700,000 square kilometers of desert, in addition to the Gobi Desert, which covers more than 500,000 square kilometers. Together, they account for approximately 13% of China's total land area. Although it looks like a barren land, the junction between the deserts and the mountains is, in fact, teeming with life.
中国西北有许多高大的山脉，它们的海拔高度在6000米以上，甚至在7000米，甚至更高。那么在山顶都会有积雪，于是呢，这些冰雪融水就会在山脚下形成绿洲，而在远离绿洲的地方就是戈壁，就是沙漠。所以说，但凡干旱地区的绿洲，都与山地的冰雪融水是有关的。
中国的温带沙漠有个特点就是什么呢？它受到高山的滋润啊，它有河流，可以形成绿洲。那别的沙漠也有绿洲，它这个绿洲就是地下水啊，有一些冒出来那小块。但我们的绿洲是，反正高山顺着高山一串，像项链一样。
In the basins between mountains, glacial meltwater seeps from low-lying areas. The fine, light sediments are rich in nutrients, creating fertile soil for growing crops. Water and soil, in turn, give birth to oases. Thanks to its extremely high snow-capped mountains in the northwest, China has far more desert oases than any other country. However, the amount of habitable land in northwest China remains limited. Maximizing the use of natural resources is the biggest challenge for the locals. Every morning, 23-year-old Asiam Amer sweeps out the sand that gets blown into her house at night through the cracks in the walls. It's a daily ritual for the residents here. The village is surrounded by desert. The Taklamakan Desert is the largest in China, with a total area of 337,600 square kilometers. Living conditions here are harsh. With its shifting sand dunes, the desert has earned the nickname the Sea of Death. Asiam's family lives in Dali Yabuyi village more than 200 kilometers deep into the desert's hinterland. It is the last village on the Karez River, which is formed from the meltwater of the Kunlun Mountains and flows into the desert. The climate is extremely arid, with annual precipitation less than 15 millimeters. Only the drought-tolerant desert poplar and salt cedar can survive here. The people here call themselves the Karez people.
Ben 60 yaşga kidim. Hem de bizden atomumuzun tatip mişede yaşagan. Hem de atomumuzun tatip mişede 200 yıldan bizden mi ne? Oldu. Hem biz mişede yaşap kelgen. Şu atomumuzdan kalganda atomumuzdan 500 koyuydu. Koyunu bekip, anaş koyunun kaçta tokaydı turup. Ana saat öyle ki satın otuna kalap, güneşten tümep.
Kumai chi is a simple local food of naan bread filled with mutton. No water is needed except when kneading the dough. It's baked using hot sand, and after half an hour, it's ready to eat. After patting off the sand, the whole family will enjoy it with tea. No matter the season, the local people like drinking hot tea. The groundwater here is high in salt content and cannot be consumed directly. People boil the water to brew a special herbal tea. Drinking it while it's hot avoids the salty taste. After lunch, Asiam's husband and brother take advantage of the good weather to scour the riverbank for materials to repair the house. The Korea people rely mostly on local materials to build their houses, using wood from the desert poplar for the frame and salt cedar branches for the walls and roof. Before winter arrives, people dig out mud from the Korea River, mix it with dried reeds and sheep dung, and apply it to the walls to make them windproof. As the last of the desert dwellers, the Korea people have upheld a tradition to guard this small oasis for over 1,000 years. But as the Korea River and the natural oasis shrink, they can no longer maintain their traditional life. A few years ago, the local government decided to relocate the entire village to a settlement near Yutian County with abundant and stable water supplies. Asiam's family is among those moving there.
Ko'nglimizni bek yerim bo'ldi, chunki bu yerda bek kichigimizdan tortib cho'ng bo'lgan ekan. Bu yerni bek yaxshi ko'ramiz. Bu yerning to'g'raqlarini, qumlarini ko'rib, shunda qo'ylarni ko'rib, biz shunda kichigimizdan ashtoq cho'ng bo'lg'achqa u yerga chiqqandan keyin men o'ylab lekin bu yerga bir xil mehrimiz bor. Bu yerga yuragimiz ag'riydi.
With water, it's an oasis. Without, it becomes desert. Throughout the long course of history, countless communities have thrived and declined, depending on the abundance or absence of water in the land. Zhu Hong, a professor at Jilin University's Research Center for Chinese Frontier Archaeology, has long explored the mysteries of ancient human races.
颧骨也是比较突出的，面部扁平度呢显得也是比较大的，鼻根点的凹陷很浅，这些都是东部欧亚人群的典型特征。
These researchers have been studying the early inhabitants of China's desert areas in Lop Nur, thousands of kilometers away. Adjacent to the Taklamakan Desert, the Lop Nur uninhabited zone is considered one of the most hostile wildernesses in the world. In 2004, archaeologists discovered the tombs of an ancient tribe on this oval sand hill and unearthed dozens of remains. Due to the dry climate in the desert, these remains have been well preserved over thousands of years. Using modern scientific methods, archaeologists have been able to determine when these ancient people walked on the earth. Known as the Xiaohe people, They lived in this desert 4,000 to 3,500 years ago, making them its earliest known inhabitants.
小河人他们的主要来源早期是欧亚东部的人群，这样的人群我们推测，它不是来自于蒙古高原这个方向，那就是来自于中国的甘青地区。那么年代越晚呢，来自欧亚西部的人群就比较多了，就是现在的这个中亚五国呀什么，他们这个地区，他们到达小红河墓地的时候呢，已经是融合了，发生过融合的。
当时迁移到这儿，肯定罗伯的水源充足。你像我们通过发现的这个大量的牛的这个髓脏和这个绑在这个每个柱子上面，都有一个牛头，这样大量的牛，它需要这个非常好的环境，有水有草，而且也适合于农耕。你像发现的黍、小麦，这是相对来说环境是非常优越，所以就留在这儿生存发展。
On this small oasis, the Xiaohe people planted wheat and kept cattle and sheep, creating their own culture. The relatively rich oasis attracted more and more people to Lop Nur and the surrounding areas. People were constantly migrating and communicating and mingling with each other. More than 2,000 years ago, prosperous small city-states appeared one after another in today's Xinjiang, such as the Lowlan, Jingyue and Kucha. These were historically known as the 36 states of the western regions.
为什么它分成一个小国呢？因为它一般一个绿洲的面积有限，它供养的人口不无限制的，因为绿洲是这样，水能够供养多少，它的面积就多大。这个呢是它地理条件决定的。
It's precisely because of changes in the environment, such as water sources, that the Xiaohe people were unable to escape their fate.
因为他那个年代的生产力是有限的，他的居住全是木骨架建筑，他肯定是就在墓地周围这些互相不断的砍伐，这对环境还是有一定的影响的。这一个罗伯的水源主要是孔雀河的水和这个塔里木河的水补充，这样子也到了后期可能上游不断的有人类来居住，进行截流，造成最后这两条河的断流，形成了这个罗伯的废弃。
The ecological environment in arid areas is delicate. The slightest change can deal a devastating blow to settlers. Eventually, as the natural oases shrank, once prosperous tribes and cities such as the Xiaohe, Lowlan and Niya were buried under the sand. To survive for a long time, desert dwellers must find ways to obtain a stable water source. The Turpan Basin is world famous for its grapes. At the end of April, before the weather warms, Kahal Remu begins preparations for planting grapes. The grapevines, fresh from their winter hibernation, need lots of water, but there seems to be a problem with the canal that supplies the vineyards.
Opacan. Karez örülüp şu akşaydı, su azap gitti. Evet, şunun kartta bir terli kısa oldan akşaydı. Evet ki çokum. Karez'e münasebetlik bir neslerine teyakkımlı.
Irrigating the vineyards is crucial to livelihoods in the village. Kaharemu quickly gathers a team to examine the water source. Ya'ar village, where Kahal lives, sits on the northern edge of the Turpan Basin. This is the lowest lying place in China. The surrounding mountains block the entry of warm, humid air, resulting in 16 millimeters of annual precipitation and 3,000 millimeters of evaporation. Turpan wasn't originally suitable for agriculture, but an underground water system transformed it into a land famed for growing melons and other fruit. In the Gobi, which surrounds the village, rows of circular mounds stand in line, dozens of meters apart from each other. They may look like animal nests, but they are in fact underground channels dug by villagers. The underground channels begin at the foot of Tian Shan Mountain north of Turpan. Taking advantage of the 14,000-meter drop between the mountain and the basin, the locals built a network of underground channels to guide meltwater from the peaks into the village. There, the water irrigates farmland through open canals. This type of underground channel, known as karez, minimizes surface evaporation caused by heat and strong winds. Kahal Remu is the leader of the karez maintenance team in Ya'ar village. It's his responsibility to ensure the wells are functioning properly. These shafts are the only access to the underground karez wells. The deeper the underground canal, the narrower it becomes. Sometimes there is only enough room for one person. The groundwater temperature is around 5 degrees Celsius, so the villagers can work underground for only 30 minutes at a time. It was under these conditions that the Turpan people built the karez network, little by little.
Bunun içinde kıyınçılık dereceleri böyle yukarıya bana bak. Çoluk maşallah bunun içinde. Ve tüpsüz emez bunun içinde. Bildiğince 2 metre yetkince bu. 1 metre 70-80. Yani suyun kalınlığı var. Kankaslar bir kaldıra.
Kahal Remu finds that the decreased water flow has been caused by a partial collapse of the underground canal. After almost 2 weeks of hard work, the karez well is cleared. Kahal Remu and his neighbors can finally stop worrying about the water.
This karez 是一个非常巧妙的一个原创性的发明，它是干旱地区根据当地的自然条件和水文地质特点创造的地下水利设施。一说中国古代的工程，往往提3大工程，一个就是咱们的万里长城，一个就是京杭大运河，一个就是咱们干旱半干旱地区的坎儿井。没有坎儿井，就没有吐鲁番的这个生存发展，也就没有新疆的典型的绿洲文明。
In a desolate desert, an oasis is most precious. In Xinjiang, oases cover about 9% of the total area, but support more than 90% of the population. From the foot of Tian Shan Mountain to the Hershey Corridor, oases allowed ancient communities to settle and thrive in the desert. Some also began to cast curious glances at the outside world. But it was not easy to cross the vast sea of sand. Bana is in the northwest of the Inner Mongolia Autonomous Region, close to the China-Mongolia border and surrounded by the Gobi and other deserts. At daybreak, Ta Wen-jin prepares to feed his camels. March is birthing season for camels. Herders set up pens near their homes to care for the mothers and their newborns. More than 3,000 years ago, domesticated camels from West Asia were introduced to northern China. Compared with other domestic animals, camels have a bad temper, are hard to train, and reproduce only every 3 years. Yet in the harsh desert environment, herdsmen began to favor camels as they can go long periods without eating and drinking and can withstand the heat, cold, and sandstorms. For herders like Ta Wen-jin, the birth of a camel is a major family event. This 5-year-old female is giving birth for the first time.
Бусдууд нь одоо ингэ ботголоо гарцгаа. Одоо отхон ботго. Энэ үлдцээд хамгийн нэгдүгээр ботгож байгаа юм. Сайн харгаж иж харж одоо байхгүй болоод бас. Анх ботгож байгаа ингэ бас ботго мотго хаяхаас үүднээс ээж магадгүй.
It's in a camel's nature to leave its herd to give birth. After a few days of observation, Ta Wen-jin notices that the camel has walked alone into the wilderness. A few hours later, Ta Wen-jin finds the white camel in labor 6 kilometers away. As he'd feared, the inexperienced camel does not have a smooth delivery. With Ta Wen-jin's help, the family's newest calf finally arrives into the world.
Тэмээ хариулсан хүн шүү дээ. Хаврын цэгтээ төлөөн тосууд хамгийн сайхан жаргалтай. Хамгийн баяртай цаг үе.
Over the years, humans and camels have come to rely on one another. In addition to providing milk, camels were an ancient desert dweller's most trusted partner when they crossed the dunes.
"绿洲之间都有相当的沙漠戈壁啊，有一些沙漠戈壁，就是说在绿洲之间，它这个路途比较长。除了骆驼，其他的牲畜很难适应沙漠地区。有时候白天，温度会30-40度，晚上又会零下20-30度。骆驼它有很厚的皮毛，它的蹄子上又有比较厚的这个肉垫儿，它就能够承受这样的，就是说剧烈的气候变化。
它比马和驴的载重量大，行走比较平稳，人坐在上面相对来说比较舒适。还有一个很耐旱，它这可以储藏水以后，它见到有水源的地方，它喝饱了可以较长时间，它不用再喝水了。人可以带着皮囊自己喝嘛，那些皮囊是不够驴马喝的啊，所以这是骆驼在那个中亚和新疆的沙漠地带最重要的一个作用。
For thousands of years, with the help of camels, people traveled over deserts between oases to keep touch with the outside world. Scattered oases were linked like a necklace of pearls, and a passage between east and west was gradually formed. Tuyok village at the foot of the Flaming Mountain is one of the oldest existing villages in Xinjiang.
Tamam sana yığılı bir oyun çekileme bugün demiş kulağına gel. Ha?
Maşallah onu sana ha buldu.
Yes. Ama sana çok.
Abdul Rahman's family has lived here for generations. As well as tending to his family's vineyard, he has another job.
Karanlar sözsüzlük şundak amdan kepti. Muşsuda oynap duranglar bildinglarmi? Men qilinglar bo'ldi, men da ichiga tekshirishga mangdim. Men o'ynanglar sizlarmi?
Abdul Rahman is here to inspect the caves hidden in the cliffs on both sides of the canyon. Around the 1900s, people in the Tuyok Valley discovered the ancient Tuyok Buddhist grottos. It's the earliest known grotto site in Turpan, dating back more than 1,600 years. To protect these cultural relics, the Tuyok Buddhist grottos are no longer open to the public. The local Cultural Heritage Department hired Abdul Rahman as a conservator to inspect the site twice a day.
Bu tashki öngörler bizning 38-öngör bo'lib, tam rasmlari beqadar mukammal saqlangan. Men bu öngörni tekshirish tashkilotlar ichidagi eng muhim öngörlarning birisi bo'lib, men buni atiganda kashda 2 qator tekshirman. Tekshirish jarayonida rasmlarning dastlabki yerlari, barib shu ehtimoliy boylarni alayida tekshirib, bu öngörniki qurilish shakli alayida bo'lib, aylanma shaklda aylanib chiqarildi. O'ttirib bir
This is a site built on devout faith. It's said this majestic Buddha overlooks all sentient beings, that all human sorrow and joy can be found in its lowered eyes and compassionate smile.
土峪沟的这个佛教延续的是1000多年，连绵不断。这样的这个佛教仪式的标本是非常非常罕见的。 在这里头，我们既看到有这个早期的带有比较这个浓烈的南亚的风格，又看得到唐代这个时期的很强烈的这个内地这种风格。它是南亚这边的这个佛教艺术往东传的一个节点，也是中原佛教汉化佛教经过河西再往新疆其他地方传播的一个这个关节点。
Buraya bak güzel. Bu yerda ilqi Buthaylardagi tom rasmlar, bu yerdagi ilqi qurilish shakllari, adam men bir şey kasam o'zim bir xil hayajonli bo'lib ketaman. 1000 yil burungi ota-bobolarimizning mushu ikki qo'lga taynab shundoq buyuk bir qurilishlarni qilganidan men shundoq faxrlanaman.
The two Yok grottos show the eastward spread of Buddhism, but they are only a small link in the long chain of cultural exchanges between East and West. More than 2,000 years ago, camel caravans traversed oases, creating an invisible channel for trade and cultural exchanges between China, West Asia and Europe, namely the Silk Road. On the ancient Silk Road, exotic treasures, art and beliefs spread like a torrent across various oases until they reached the hinterland of the Central Plains, influencing and changing China.
西域地区的这些香料啊、面食，还有这个胡服啊、音乐舞蹈等等这些传入，对于提升我们国人的这个生活品质发挥了很好的作用啊。再一个，像西域的这个宗教啊，佛教、显教、景教、摩尼教，它进入中原啊，这使得我们的这个精神生活领域就更加多元化。这些物产和文化对于我们中原地区来说，更多的是一种补充。从文化角度讲，它更多的是一种对我们华夏文化的滋养。
以绿洲区的这些居民为载体，以绿洲的这个城市为中继站，它形成了横跨整个欧亚大陆的贸易线索。而在这些贸易的流动过程当中，文化也全都流动过来了。人类的那几大文明，中华文明、印度文明、伊斯兰文明、古希腊文明，它们仅有的汇聚点，在新疆，在敦煌绿洲区，它使得文明和文明之间能够联系起来，能够互动起来，从而它们是共同的推动了人类秩序的发展。
Although the Silk Road is now a distant memory, its influence has been far-reaching and profound. Today, through the China-proposed Belt and Road Initiative, it has become an important mission to let future generations appreciate this glorious history. Staff at the Dunhuang Academy's Digital Center have been collecting data from cave number 158. They hope to use modern technology to pause time and preserve cultural relic information.
数字化的过程，我们首先需要制定方案，依据方案进行前期的数据采集到后期的图像处理，然后到存储、展示和利用。
The Muogao Caves in Dunhuang are the best-known historical site on the Silk Road. Located on the edge of the Kumtag Desert, sandstorms pose the biggest threat to the Dunhuang murals. Long-term erosion has already made them blurry.
我们可以看到，这个壁面是完全不平整的，墙的整体呢是向内倾斜这样子，像这样子的呈弧度的这种。 采集相对墙壁来说难度要更大，像158窟这样的话，用一个工作组来需要6个月的采集时间，一般后期的处理时间是前期采集的将近3倍。
They photograph each mural in small sections before feeding the images into a computer and splicing them together to restore the entire mural. This approach results in a high-definition digital file completely consistent with the original work. Murals, colourful sculptures, the Asparas, and auspicious clouds are all vividly displayed on screen. Advanced technology is helping protect these precious cultural relics by allowing for the exhibition of the Moorgau caves online. Eventually, the murals and more than 2,000 colourful sculptures in these 735 Moorgau caves will be digitized. This will preserve the legendary Silk Road forever. Facing harsh natural conditions, ancient inhabitants of China's desert areas survived by building an oasis road connecting east and west, a miraculous feat of engineering. Thousands of years later, the Chinese people have not stopped exploring the deserts. They still aspire to connect oases and reach across these oceans of sand. It's early morning, and these workers are setting out from camp. Ahead of them is the seemingly endless Taklamakan Desert.
42，下42，这9米的边坡，那边边坡肯定不够。
Even in September, the noontime temperature in the desert can reach around 50 degrees Celsius. The workers must do as much as possible in the cool morning air.
34、35、18公分，往下18公分。
The crew is building the longest desert road in the world, stretching over 330 kilometers long. Today, the project is entering its final stage, with less than 30 kilometers to go before the road bed connects north and south. However, this 100-meter-high sand hill remains a major obstacle.
可以看到我们这个地方的那个底基层呢，已经紧跟着已经施工到这个地方了，和前面的那个小的这个拦路虎呢，只有将近300米的一个距离了。如果这个地方我们跨不过去，万一来到风沙之后，会把我们前面已经推出成型的23公里的路基一夜之间给覆盖掉。
Little by little, 15 bulldozers operating at full power push the sand to low-lying areas, as if peeling a giant onion made of sand. The workers are divided into 3 shifts and work around the clock to finish the road bed before the next sandstorm arrives. To ensure that the road bed will not be buried, the workers also need to build straw checkerboard barriers along both sides. The reeds are arranged neatly in a line, and the workers use square-headed shovels to push the center of the reeds deep into the sand. The barriers can span up to 110 meters, protecting the road from quicksand.
咱这条沙漠公路是玉里到且末的一条沙漠公路，这是在塔克拉玛干沙漠里头的第3条穿越沙漠的一个沙漠公路。它这里头还有丰富的石油资源，这是跟那个矿产资源有关系的。它是一个整个的一带一路的一部分。如果这条沙漠公路修通了之后，6小时可以到库尔勒，几乎时间上缩短了1半。
This is the 3rd highway in China to cross the Taklamakan Desert. With the Tarim Desert Highway and the highway from Ala to Hotan, it will form a comprehensive road network from east to west. As the area becomes more accessible, exploitation of resources deep in the desert, transportation of materials, and exchanges of personnel will become more convenient. The desert will no longer feel like a distant and dangerous place for humans. from the Keria people and abundant karez wells of Turpan, and from the ancient desert roads between oases to the advanced highways crossing arid hinterlands, the Chinese people have constantly been fighting drought and sand, adapting to and transforming hostile environments and using their wisdom to solve existential problems. This place has always been and will always be their home.